Elena's heart stopped the moment the letter arrived, its crisp edges slicing through a decade of carefully guarded lies. She stood frozen in her Manhattan apartment, the city's hum fading as her mother's elegant handwriting stared back at her. "We need to talk, Elena." "I know." For 10 years Elena had hidden Sophia, the love of her life, to protect the inheritance tied to her family's Fortunia fortune. Her mother, Catherine, dangled like a leash. The Whitmore estate, a sprawling mansion in upstate New York, was more than a home. It was a legacy built on old money and older expectations. Catherine's rules were clear. Marry a man, uphold the family name, or lose everything. Elena, 32, with her sharp mind and sharper secrets, had played the part, publicly single, privately devoted to Sophia, the woman who made her feel alive. Sophia, 30, was everything Catherine would never approve of. A free-spirited artist with no pedigree, her hands stained with paint, her laugh loud enough to fill a room. They met in a Greenwich Village cafe, where Sophia's sketches caught Elena's eye, and their first conversation, a debate over abstract expressionism, sparked a fire neither could extinguish. But love came with a cost. Elena's inheritance, the key to her independence, demanded a performance. A life of half-truths, stolen moments, and a closet built of fear. Now, standing in her sleek apartment, Elena's fingers trembled as she clutched the letter. "I know." What did Catherine know? Had someone seen her and Sophia at their secret weekend in the Catskills? Or was it the photo, the one Elena kept hidden in her journal, of Sophia kissing her cheek under a willow tree? Her pulse raced. Catherine knew the game was over. She glanced at the clock. Sophia would be home soon, her shift at the art gallery ending at 6. Elena's mind churned. She could burn the letter, pretend it never arrived. But the weight of her mother's words pinned her in place. 10 years of hiding had carved a hollow space in her chest, and the truth, like a storm, was breaking through. Sophia burst through the door, her flannel shirt dusted with charcoal from a sketching session. "Elena, you look like you've seen a ghost," she said, dropping her bag. Her brown eyes softened as she crossed the room, but Elena stepped back, clutching the letter like a shield. "What's that?" Sophia asked, her voice cautious. Elena hesitated, her throat tight. "It's from my mother." Sophia's face hardened. She knew the stakes, had always known. "What does she want now? Another gala to parade you around as the perfect daughter?" "It's not that." Elena's voice cracked. "She says she knows." Sophia froze, her defiance giving way to fear. "Knows what exactly?" "I don't know." Elena's voice rose, sharp with panic. "About us, maybe. About everything I've kept from her. If she knows, Sophia, I could lose it all, the money, the estate, everything I've worked for." Sophia's jaw tightened. "And what about us?" 10 years, Elena. 10 years of hiding in your shadow, pretending I'm just your roommate. I'm tired of being your secret." The words cut deeper than Elena expected. She wanted to reach for Sophia, to pull her close and promise it would be okay. But the letter in her hand felt like a ticking bomb. "I did this for us," she whispered. "The money, it's our future. Without it, we're starting from nothing." Sophia's eyes glistened, but her voice was steady. "I don't care about the money. I care about you. But I can't keep living like this, Elena. I won't." The silence that followed was suffocating. Elena's mind flashed to the first time she saw Sophia, sketching in that cafe. Her laughter like a melody Elena hadn't known she needed. She'd built her life around that sound, around Sophia's warmth, but now it felt like sand slipping through her fingers. "I need to see her," Elena said finally, her voice barely audible. "I need to know what she knows." Sophia nodded, her expression unreadable. "Then go. But don't expect me to wait forever." The drive to the Whitmore estate was a blur of autumn leaves and dread. The mansion loomed against the gray sky, its ivy-covered walls a testament to generations of wealth and control. Catherine, 65, was waiting in the drawing room, her silver hair pulled back, her posture rigid as ever. Elena's stomach churned as she stepped inside, the familiar scent of polished wood and old books grounding her. "Sit," Catherine said, her voice cool but not unkind. She gestured to a velvet chair, her diamond ring glinting in the firelight. Elena obeyed, her hands clasped to hide their trembling. "You wanted to talk?" Catherine's gaze was piercing, the kind that saw through lies. "I've been watching you, Elena. For years. You've played your part well, too well, perhaps. But I'm not a fool. Elena's heart pounded. What are you talking about? Don't insult me, Catherine snapped, leaning forward. I know about Sophia. Your friend. The one you've been hiding for a decade. The room spun. Elena gripped the chair, her carefully constructed world crumbling. How? She whispered. Catherine's lips thinned. A private investigator. I hired one last year after you dodged another suitor I arranged. He followed you to that cabin in the Catskills. I have photos, Elena. You and her together. Elena's breath caught. Photos. Her mind raced to that weekend, the way Sophia's hand felt in hers as they walked by the lake, the way they'd laughed under the stars. It was their sanctuary, their escape, and now it was evidence. Why didn't you say anything sooner? Elena asked, her voice shaking. Catherine's expression softened, just for a moment. Because I wanted to believe you'd choose the family, the legacy. But I see now that you won't. And I won't let you throw it all away for her. Elena's chest tightened. You don't get to decide who I love. Catherine stood, her presence commanding. Love is a luxury, Elena. Duty is not. If you choose her, you lose the inheritance. Everything. Is she worth that? The question hung in the air, sharp and cruel. Elena thought of Sophia's laugh, her stubborn hope, the way she made every moment brighter. But she also thought of the life she'd planned, a life where she and Sophia could be free, not bound by her mother's rules. The inheritance was their ticket to that freedom. Wasn't it? I need time, Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. Catherine nodded, her eyes cold. You have until my will is finalized. 1 month. Choose wisely. Elena drove back to Manhattan in silence, her mother's ultimatum echoing in her mind. 1 month. 1 month to decide between love and security, between Sophia and the life she'd been groomed for. The city lights blurred through her tears, and when she walked into the apartment, Sophia was there waiting. Well? Sophia asked, her arms crossed, her eyes searching. Elena set the letter on the table, her hands shaking. She knows. She's known for a year. She hired someone to follow us. Sophia's face paled. And she gave me a choice, Elena said, her voice breaking. Her or you. Sophia's laugh was bitter. So that's it? 10 years and it comes down to this. I don't know what to do. Elena cried, her composure shattering. I love you, Sophia, but this money, it's not just about me. It's about us, our future. Stop, Sophia said, her voice sharp. Don't you dare use me as an excuse. If you choose the money, you're choosing her. Not us. Elena reached for her, but Sophia pulled away. I can't do this anymore, Sophia said, her voice trembling. I love you, Elena, but I won't be your secret forever. Figure out what you really want. Because I'm done waiting. Sophia grabbed her jacket and walked out, the door slamming behind her. Elena sank to the floor, the letter crumpled in her hand, her world unraveling. For the first time in 10 years, she was alone, truly alone, with nothing but the weight of her choices. The apartment felt like a tomb without Sophia. Elena sat on the couch, staring at the blank canvas Sophia had left propped against the wall, its edges curling from neglect. 3 days had passed since Sophia walked out, and each unanswered text Elena sent felt like a stone sinking into a void. She replayed their last conversation, Sophia's words cutting deeper each time. I'm done waiting. Elena had always justified the secrecy, her mother's control, the inheritance, the promise of a future where they could live openly. But now, with Sophia gone and Catherine's ultimatum looming, the justifications felt hollow. Elena opened her journal, the one she'd kept hidden even from Sophia. Pages filled with sketches of their moments together, Sophia laughing in Central Park, Sophia asleep on their couch, Sophia's hand brushing hers under a cafe table spilled out like a confession. She traced the lines, her fingers lingering on a sketch of Sophia's eyes, bright with defiance. How had she let it come to this? Her phone buzzed, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a text from her mother's assistant. Catherine requests your presence at the estate this weekend. Urgent. Elena's stomach dropped. Catherine wasn't one for vague summons. Something was wrong. The Whitmore estate felt colder than ever when Elena arrived. The grand staircase creaked under her steps, and the portraits of her ancestors seemed to watch her with disapproval. Catherine was in her study, A room lined with leather-bound books and secrets. But she wasn't alone. A man in a crisp suit sat across from her, his briefcase open, papers scattered. "Elena," Catherine said, her voice weaker than usual. "This is Mr. Harrow, my attorney." Elena's pulse quickened. "What's going on?" Catherine's eyes, usually sharp, were clouded with something Elena couldn't place: fatigue, perhaps, or regret. "I'm amending my will," she said. "And I need your decision now." Elena's mouth went dry. "You said I had a month." "Things have changed," Catherine said, coughing into a handkerchief. "My health isn't what it was. The doctors say I don't have long. Weeks, maybe." The words hit like a punch. Elena stared at her mother, the woman who'd shaped her life with iron rules and impossible expectations. Catherine was dying. The realization was surreal. A mix of grief and guilt Elena wasn't prepared for. "Mr. Harrow," cleared his throat. "Mrs. Whitmore has outlined 2 paths for the estate. If you comply with her wishes and your relationship and marry a suitable partner, the inheritance is yours. If not, the estate will go to a charitable trust." Elena's mind reeled. "You're dying, and you're still playing games with my life?" Catherine's gaze hardened. "This isn't a game, Elena. It's about legacy. You're a Whitmore. You have a duty to this family." "Duty?" Elena's voice rose, trembling with years of pent-up anger. "What about my happiness? What about love?" Catherine's expression softened, but only slightly. "Love doesn't preserve empires. You think this Sophia can give you what centuries of Whitmore wealth can? You're naive." Elena's hands clenched. "You don't know her. You don't know us." "I know enough," Catherine snapped. "I've seen the photos. I've read the investigators' reports. She's a distraction, Elena. A phase." The words stung, but Elena held her ground. "She's not a phase. She's the only real thing in my life." Catherine leaned back, her face pale. "Then you've made your choice. Mr. Harrow, proceed with the trust." Elena's heart sank. "Wait. You can't." "I can," Catherine said, her voice final. "And I will. Unless you end it with her. Prove it to me, Elena. Show me you're a Whitmore." The room felt suffocating. Elena's eyes burned with unshed tears as she looked at her mother, frail but unyielding. "I need to think," she said, her voice barely audible. Catherine nodded. "You have until tomorrow. After that, my decision is final." Elena drove to the city in a daze, her mother's words looping in her mind. Catherine was dying. The inheritance was slipping away. And Sophia was gone. She pulled over near Washington Square Park, the place where she and Sophia had spent countless afternoons, and let the tears come. Her phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Sophia. Elena's hand shook as she played it. "Elena, I'm sorry I left like that. I can't keep being invisible. I love you, but I need you to choose me. Not your mother, not the money. Me. I'm at the gallery if you want to talk." Elena's heart ached. She wanted to run to Sophia to beg her to stay, but the weight of her mother's ultimatum held her back. The inheritance wasn't just money, it was freedom, security, the life she dreamed of building with Sophia. But at what cost? She walked to the gallery, her steps heavy. The small space was filled with Sophia's paintings, vibrant canvases that seemed to pulse with life. Sophia was in the back, cleaning brushes, her movements slow and deliberate. "You came," Sophia said, her voice soft but guarded. "I had to," Elena said, her throat tight. "My mother. She's dying. She's forcing me to choose. You or the inheritance." Sophia's eyes darkened. "And what did you tell her?" "I didn't," Elena admitted. "I don't know what to do, Sophia. I love you, but this money, it's our chance to be free. To live without her shadow over us." Sophia set down her brush, her expression unreadable. "You think money will make us free?" "Elena, I've been free my whole life because I've never let anyone tell me who I am." But Yuri's still chained to her. The truth of Sophia's words hit hard. Elena wanted to argue, to explain, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she reached for Sophia's hand, and this time Sophia didn't pull away. "I don't know how to let go," Elena whispered. "Of her. Of the money. Of you." Sophia's eyes softened, but her voice was firm. "Then figure it out, Elena. Because I can't keep loving someone who's afraid to love me back." They stood there, hands clasped, the weight of their future hanging between them. Elena knew she had to choose not just for Sophia, but for herself. Elena spent the night awake, her journal open, its pages a map of her heart. Each sketch of Sophia was a reminder of what she stood to lose, not just the woman she loved, but the person she'd become with her. By dawn, her decision was clear, but it terrified her. She drove back to the Whitmore estate, the morning mist clinging to the rolling hills. Catherine was in her bedroom, weaker than the day before, her face gaunt but her eyes still sharp. Mr. Harrow stood by, his briefcase ready, a silent witness to the unraveling of a dynasty. "I've made my choice," Elena said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. Catherine raised an eyebrow. "And I choose Sophia," Elena said. "I choose us." The silence was deafening. Catherine's face remained impassive, but her hands trembled slightly. "You're throwing away everything," she said. "The estate, the legacy, your future." "My future is with her," Elena said, her voice rising. "You've controlled me my whole life, Mother. You made me hide who I am, who I love, for a fortune I never asked for. But I'm done hiding." Catherine's eyes narrowed. "You think this is noble? You'll regret this, Elena. When you're scraping by, when you have nothing." "I'll have her," Elena interrupted. "And that's enough." Mr. Harrow shifted uncomfortably, but Catherine waved him off. "Very well," she said, her voice cold. "The trust will inherit everything. You're no longer a Whitmore in my eyes." The word stung, but Elena stood tall. "I never was, Mother. Not the way you wanted." She turned and left, her heart pounding but lighter than it had been in years. As she drove away, the mansion fading in her rearview mirror, she felt a strange freedom. She'd lost the inheritance, but she'd gained something more herself. Back in Manhattan, Elena found Sophia at the gallery, hanging a new painting. It was a portrait of Elena, her green eyes vivid against a backdrop of autumn leaves. The sight stole her breath. "You painted me," Elena said, her voice soft. Sophia turned, her expression guarded. "I paint what matters to me." Elena took a step closer, her heart in her throat. "I told her. I chose you." Sophia's eyes widened. "What?" "I told my mother I'm done hiding," Elena said, her voice trembling. "The inheritance is gone. The estate, the money, it's all going to some trust. But I don't care. I want you, Sophia. I want us." Sophia's face softened, but her eyes were cautious. "Elena, do you know what you're saying? You're giving up everything." "I'm gaining everything," Elena said, tears spilling over. "I've been so afraid of her, of losing you, of not being enough. But I'm not afraid anymore. I love you, Sophia. I should have chosen you years ago." Sophia's breath hitched, and she pulled Elena into her arms. They stood there, surrounded by paintings, the world fading away. For the first time in a decade, Elena felt whole. But the moment was short-lived. Elena's phone rang, the screen flashing Mr. Harrow's name. She answered, her heart sinking. "Ms. Whitmore," he said, his voice grave. "Your mother passed away this morning." "I'm sorry." Elena froze, the words unreal. Catherine was gone. The woman who'd shaped her life, for better or worse, was no longer there. Grief crashed over her, unexpected and raw. Sophia held her as she cried, her arms a steady anchor. "I'm here," Sophia whispered. "Whatever comes next, I'm here." The days that followed were a blur of arrangements and revelations. Catherine's funeral was held at the estate, a somber affair attended by distant relatives and business associates. Elena stood apart, Sophia by her side, their hands clasped despite the whispers. After the service, Mr. Harrow approached, his expression unreadable. "There's something you need to see," he said, handing her an envelope. Inside was a letter in Catherine's handwriting, dated the day before her death. Elena's hand shook as she read. "Elena, I was wrong. I thought duty was everything, but I see now that love is stronger. I changed the will. The estate is yours not because you're a Whitmore, but because you're my daughter. Live your truth." "I'm sorry I didn't." Elena's knees buckled and Sophia caught her. "What is it?" she asked. She gave me the estate," Elena whispered, tears streaming down her face. She knew. She understood. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. "She loved you, Elena. In her own way." Elena nodded, clutching the letter. For the first time she felt her mother's love, not the conditional, controlling kind, but something real, something human. The Whitmore estate felt different now. Its halls no longer suffocating but alive with possibility. Elena and Sophia stood on the grand staircase, the weight of Catherine's letter still sinking in. The inheritance was theirs, not just the mansion, but the funds, the investments, the legacy Elena had once feared losing. "I still can't believe it," Elena said, her voice soft as she looked out over the grounds. She changed her mind. After everything. Sophia squeezed her hand. "She saw you, Elena. Really saw you." Elena nodded, but the grief was still raw. Catherine's death had left a void, not just of loss but of questions unanswered. Why had she waited until the end to accept her? Why had love been so hard for her to give? They moved into the estate, a decision that felt both daunting and right. Sophia's paintings filled the walls, their vibrant colors breathing life into the somber rooms. Elena took over the family's charitable foundation, redirecting funds to support marginalized communities, including LGBTQ+ youth. It was her way of honoring her mother's change of heart and of building the future she and Sophia deserved. But the transition wasn't easy. The staff, loyal to Catherine's old ways, whispered about Sophia, their disapproval barely concealed. Elena overheard a maid muttering about the artist girl tainting the Whitmore name. Each comment was a reminder of the world they still had to face, even with the inheritance secured. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace, Sophia broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder if we're moving too fast? This place, the money, it's a lot." Elena looked at her, the firelight dancing in Sophia's eyes. "It is. But it's ours now. We get to decide what it means." Sophia smiled, but there was a shadow in her expression. "I just don't want to lose us in all this. The mansion, the legacy, it's your world, Elena. I'm still the girl who paints in coffee shops." Elena reached for her, pulling her close. "You're my world, Sophia. This place is just a house. You're my home." Sophia's smile widened and she kissed Elena, soft and sure. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's make it ours." The first test came sooner than expected. A distant cousin, Richard, arrived unannounced, his polished suit and smug smile setting Elena on edge. He'd always been Catherine's favorite, the son she wished Elena had been. "I heard about the will," Richard said, his tone dripping with condescension. "Quite the surprise considering your choices." Elena's jaw tightened. "The will is final, Richard. Mother made her decision." He smirked, glancing at Sophia, who stood quietly by Elena's side. "Did she? Or did you manipulate a dying woman?" "I've spoken to the staff. They say you've brought unconventional influences into this house." Sophia's eyes flashed, but Elena spoke first. "Sophia is my partner. This is her home as much as mine. If you have a problem with that, you can leave." Richard's smile didn't falter. "I'm not here to fight, Elena. I'm here to protect the family name. There are clauses in the trust conditions Catherine set before her little change of heart. I've hired a lawyer. We'll see what holds up in court." Elena's blood ran cold. "You're challenging the will?" "Let's just say I'm ensuring justice," Richard said, turning to leave. "You'll hear from my attorney." The door closed and Elena's knees weakened. Sophia caught her arm, her voice steady. "He's bluffing. He can't take this from you." But Elena wasn't so sure. Richard had resources, connections, and a vendetta. If he challenged the will, the fight could drag on for years, draining the estate and their peace. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She sat in the study, Catherine's letter on the desk, its words both a comfort and a burden. Sophia found her there, her flannel shirt swapped for one of Elena's old sweaters, her hair mussed from sleep. "You're worrying again," Sophia said, sitting beside her. Elena sighed. "Richard could ruin everything." "The estate, our plans, stop," Sophia said gently. "We've been through worse. Your mother, the secrecy, the fear. We're still here. Together." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve you." Sophia laughed softly. "You're stuck with me, Whitmore. Now come to bed. We'll fight Richard tomorrow." Elena let Sophia lead her upstairs, the warmth of her hand grounding her. As they lay together, the mansion quiet around them, Elena felt a flicker of hope. They'd faced Catherine's wrath and survived. They could face Richard too. The legal battle with Richard stretched into months, each court date a reminder of the fragility of their victory. Elena hired a top attorney, using the estate's funds to counter Richard's claims. He argued that Catherine's final will was coerced, that Elena had manipulated her mother's weakened state. But Catherine's letter, notarized and dated, was ironclad. In the courtroom, Elena sat with Sophia, their hands clasped under the table. The judge, a stern woman with a reputation for fairness, listened as Richard's lawyer presented old photos of Elena with suitors Catherine had approved, painting her as a deceitful daughter. Elena's attorney countered with the letter, with testimonies from the staff who'd witnessed Catherine's clarity in her final days. When Elena took the stand, her voice was steady. "My mother and I didn't always understand each other," she said. "But in the end she saw me. She saw my love for Sophia. And she chose to honor that." The courtroom was silent, the weight of her words settling over everyone. Sophia's eyes shone with pride, and for the first time, Elena felt unashamed, unhidden. The judge ruled in their favor. The will stood. Richard's face twisted with fury as he stormed out, his threats empty. Elena and Sophia left the courthouse hand in hand, the autumn air crisp and full of promise. Back at the estate, they began to rebuild. Elena opened the mansion to the community, hosting art workshops led by Sophia, fundraisers for local charities, and events for queer youth. The Whitmore name, once a symbol of exclusion, became a beacon of inclusion. One evening, as they stood on the balcony overlooking the grounds, Sophia turned to Elena. "You know, I never thought I'd live in a place like this. It's overwhelming." Elena smiled, pulling her close. "It's just a house, Sophia. You're the one who makes it a home." Sophia laughed, her breath warm against Elena's cheek. "You're getting sappy, Whitmore." "I'm allowed," Elena said, her voice soft. "I almost lost you." "You didn't," Sophia said, her eyes serious. "And you won't." They kissed, the stars above them bright and endless. The weight of the past, Catherine's rules, the secrecy, the fear was gone. In its place was a future they built together. Not on money or legacy, but on love. Years later, the estate was alive with laughter. Sophia's art school thrived, and Elena's foundation had changed countless lives. They'd married in the garden, surrounded by friends and chosen family, the willow tree from their Catskills photo a silent witness. As Elena looked back on the decade of hiding, she saw not shame but strength. She'd hidden Sophia to keep her, but in letting go of fear, she'd found something greater. A life unapologetically theirs. The truth had unfolded, not with her mother's death, but with her own courage. And in that truth, Elena and Sophia had found freedom. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.